All right, welcome everyone to a new edition of Lobo Chat with JC Lopez. We're here with a guest, not just a guest, but a friend of mine who I've known since he was a little boy, probably 3 years old, and his nickname was Bozo.
Oh,
just so
man.
you, because I just told you, remember that? So Stephen Michael Quezada is my guest today. He's our county commissioner. From the South Valley, Northwest Valley, right? You know, we have that debate. You know, we have that debate. I mean, well, we all grew up together. We'll talk about that, you know, as we're talking here. Mm-hmm. But Stephen, thank you for coming around, man.
Yeah, man, my pleasure, man.
I know the election's coming up, and I'm here to help you, bro. Anything I can do to help you. I've known you for all my life.
Well, I just wanted to be a part of your show, man. You know, I mean, I hear that people are watching and that you're doing good things and you're really promoting the things that are you know, New Mexico. And we know the Lobos. We know the Lobos are New Mexico, is New Mexico. Yeah. That's our big college. That's our big team. Mm-hmm. I think we all support them, even though I'm a Greyhound from Eastern New Mexico University.
Yeah, but we need the B team here once in a while, too.
But I'm from Albuquerque, right? So I got to support.
And you're a big Lobo fan. I know you are.
Yeah, I am, man. And I'm always rooting for them, and I want them to do great things, you know.
I remember years ago you were MC for the Lobo Club banquet, the big gala that we had. I remember you were there doing some comedy. And
I did the MC for that, and I did the MC for like, you know, the No to Be Gay thing when he came, you know, when he does the his big fundraiser. And so I've done quite a few of that. I think most of my life people knew me from that, you know, raising money, trying to raise money for people in the community. I spent a lot of my time doing that. And you know, doing gang intervention programs for
you used to work for YDI, right? Yeah, I remember that when you started.
Well, you know, and you know why I did that, right? Because me and you grew up, you know, down the block from each other. We didn't.
Pat Hurley Park, Glendale Gardens,
bottom of Pat Hurley Park, man. And we were just talking a minute ago that we didn't realize we were that poor.
I know, you know, I really didn't, you know.
And I know that.
Our parents.
I did, you know. I was aware of it, you know.
You were aware of it?
I just was, you know, and I don't know why.
Well, you had a lot of kids. Like you said, you did in a 1.5 bedroom
house? It was 1.5 bedroom because I went back to go look at it when you know, I grew up. And I guess that's up for debate whether I've grown up. Some people don't think I've done that. But, you know, I went to go check out the house, and I'm telling you, man, I kind of cried. I walked in with my wife, and she goes, "You lived here?" And I said, "Yeah, this is where 8
years,
it all."
Right? About 8.
Yeah, you know what happened in that house, though, JC? Just like, you know, like all of our houses up and down that block, is that there was a lot of love in that house.
That's why you never knew you were poor. That we were poor in that area. We just didn't
there was
know that.
A lot of pride, and you know, I had a great brother, and brothers and sister. Yeah. But you know, my oldest brother was Rick. A little special to I think to everybody on the block. My brother was born with a hole in his heart, and he had open heart surgery at the age of 3 months, and so he was this brilliant. He was this brilliant man.
Smarter one.
Grew up to be the governor of Boise State. You know, ended up going to, you know, every
law school, right?
Yeah, he went to UNM Law School, graduated with honors there. He, you know, he wanted Yale.
Ricky Quezada, right? Remember, Ricky Quezada.
Well, we called him King Richard, man. But he, you know, I mean, Yale wanted it, Harvard wanted him. They all wanted him, but he just couldn't. He wasn't healthy enough.
Well, he was our student body president.
Oh yeah,
back
for sure.
Basic class of '72.
For sure. And so. You know, he taught me what, you know, community service was. So despite the fact that I was always chasing my dreams as an actor and then later a stand-up comedian, you know, that you always have to keep your eye on the community, that it's up to us to, you know, step up and do what you can for the community. And so earlier was gang intervention, raising money, those sorts of things, you know, many different organizations. My focus was always trying to help, you know, kids and try to change the path that kids went on, you know.
And you've done a good job. I know you've been
and besides crime and punishment, you know, I mean, intervention, prevention, those sorts of things were you know, I put my time into.
Because I remember, you know, I got married in '76, so I lived with my mom there on the 49th Street back in the day. So I got married and I moved out, got, you know, house, and I lost track of you right during that time. Because everybody goes, you were younger, and all of a sudden then now we're talking. You said you went to Eastern New Mexico University in 81, 82,
82, 83. So studying theater, you know, which wasn't very popular at my family.
No, I mean, an actor could come out of the barrio there. I mean,
the odds were great, right? It was just not really a smart business move, but I've never done things that were easy. I just can't, you know. I've just never been about things that are easy, and I don't know why I do that.
You challenge
I picked
yourself.
those challenges to do,
Yeah.
you know, and I just stuck with it. It wasn't easy. It was a long road. You know, my beautiful wife, that's my partner. And I'll tell you, you know, she starved with me, and our kids starved with me. You know, everybody thinks that I'm the one that sacrificed, but my whole family sacrificed for my dream. And so, you know,
overnight,
we stuck to it.
It always just happened overnight. Yeah,
oh,
right.
yeah,
Everything
yeah.
happens overnight.
I got a lucky break, and that was I'm like, but it was, you know, it was a lot, and comedy really kind of changed, turned the corner for me with my career, because then I was able to do also continue to be a writer, you know, because I came from theater, right? So film and television acting is different than theater. It's a complete different type of skill set. And so theater was, and so comedy was like that, because you've done some comedy with me, JC.
That's what I was saying. When you start doing comedy, I go, I want to try it, you know.
Yeah, I think everybody should go for it.
So I remember doing a few shows with you, but to me it was so hard. To you it was so natural, and you said, "Well, that's the training of the art."
Yeah,
you learn, you know, as an acting. When you do comedy, you're acting. Well, okay, I can see you're an actor. You learned a lot.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I kind of did. I kind of created this character who was this comedian, right? And because it was a way for me to, you know, provide for my family, and comedy was the way it happened, you know. And so we took that direction, and my wife supported me in that direction, and it's tough because, you know, I fly out. I fly out on Friday mornings, and then I fly back on Sunday morning. You know, so you know,
you were doing a lot of cruise ships.
I did a few. I did a few. I didn't do a whole lot.
That's what I kind of remember you doing that.
I was doing those, man. You know, if they could do them quick, if I could do, you know, no more than 3-4 days, and it went through a weekend, then I was able to say yes to that. You know, because I was trying to get my kids through college, and college ain't free. Someone told me that college was going to be free, and
it was free.
I'm still waiting.
They guarantee jobs too.
It's a guaranteed job, right?
Job,
but you know, I wanted my children to have an opportunities that me and you didn't. You know, you're one of our success stories from down the block, right? Right? So later, you know, my fight has been different. You know, my fight has changed a little bit, and I know that a lot of people don't agree with my fight. And it's hard, right? It's hard. I wish I could just support one side over another, JC, but that's not my job.
Yeah, well, you know,
it's not my job.
When I ran for office, I don't know if you remember this, in 1990 for the House, right?
I do. I remember.
And I ran as a Republican because I grew up Republican, but I found out my area was a Democrat.
I know.
My own friends couldn't even vote for me.
Yeah, no.
You know, I didn't take political side. I didn't know another. So we learned. But with that said, you know, it taught me about community involvement, because I always were running those community help. That's why it's politics, and we want to go help.
JC, every time we would call you, man, every time I was raising money for kids and stuff, JC, you know, your business, you always stepped up, man. You know, Chris Baca could rely on you. There are a lot of people who relied on you, JC. So, you know, that's your Democratic side, man. That's your Democrat side, man.
I knew where I came from. You know, I know who I am. You
know, people need help, right?
And
so I think a lot of people.
Till this day, you know what? I want to help you get reelected. I mean, you're doing a good job. I believe you're doing a good job out there. I mean, you don't represent my area, but I know who you are. I know what you've done. Yeah. You know, and I believe that. Hopefully the voters know the difference, you know. So
I think people are paying attention too. You know, I mean, I've gotten almost every endorsement from Deb Haaland, Ben Ray Lujan, the mayor, you know, some of the counselors, some of the commissioners, senators, representatives.
You're a doer.
Everybody in my district. Well, they pay attention to what I'm doing, you know, so it's more than just somebody spreading a rumor saying, oh, he's not doing his job. He's not doing it. And, you know, and I get that I'm not going to please everybody. And some people I've made mad based on one decision that I've made that they may not agree with. And I wholeheartedly, you know, want to help. And look at how do we compromise. You know, some of the people who were against me the last election, once I was elected, I turned around and I appointed them into boards, and I appointed them to things, and they were like, well, I thought you hated me. And I go, I don't hate anybody. Right? Yeah. You know, I want to listen to you. I want you to be sitting at the table.
You're a leader too.
Yeah, that when we're making decisions, that you have input. You know, now that I'm sitting here, I can appoint you to these positions, and then now you have input, and now, you know, we're making sure that we're trying to make the best decision for everybody. I know that people don't want me to compromise, JC. but I'm a compromiser. That's who I am.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Right.
You know, something that me and you talked about was the paid time off, right? And you were like, oh man, government shouldn't be telling business what to do. And I get you, right? I feel you, right?
Yeah.
But I also told you, but there's people out there that are taking advantage of employees, man. And so how do we meet in the middle, right? So how do we look at that particular legislation and meet in the middle? And so I did that, and I know it was unpopular for me to do that. They wanted me to go and tell small businesses that they've got to give 7 days a week, and that's the same amount of days that corporations do. Mm-hmm. And you're talking about a small business in my district that may have 2, 3, 4 employees. So what we did is we did we sort of did a scale, right? So if you had 5 employees and less, you have to pay X amount of paid time off to your employees. If you had 5 to 10, then you have to pay, and then from 10 and above, usually those are bigger businesses. They're already providing that kind of, that paid time off.
Yes, they are.
Well, because it wasn't sick leave. We turned it into paid time off. They could use it for whatever they wanted to use it. And I have to fight for them too, but we had to find out what the middle was. And then if we find later that, businesses are actually really benefiting from treating their employees well, and that they work harder, and all these things that we discussed when we were looking at that happens, then maybe we can go back and then look at maybe bumping it a little bit more somewhere down the future, right? That's what I tell everybody. Look, bro, we write things down on paper for a reason. We don't chisel them in stone anymore, right? Because so we can bring them back, and then we can change them, or we can fix them, or we can improve them. And if the opposite happens, right? If the opposite happens and all these businesses start closing because they can't afford it and they can't do that, then we also have to look at that, because the worst PTO to me is permanent time off, not paid time off, and that scares me more than anything.
And right now with this pandemic that's out there, you're probably getting a lot of calls. What can you, and there's only so much you can do as a commissioner. There's only so much you can do as the mayor.
I know.
Everybody don't do so much they can do.
I know.
But you care, and you want to help as much as you can.
But you can do, though. And this is the thing you can do. There's ways to go about doing it. Matter of fact, today I've spent most of my day trying to figure out, what businesses we're going to give money to in my district, and especially in the unincorporated area where, historically, we get looked over, and everybody just thinks that automatically if Albuquerque gets something, that Bernalillo County gets something, and that's not the case, right? Sure. And so I'm putting $500,000 on one of my projects. I'm gonna take some money from one of my projects, a very important project to me, by the way.
What is that one?
Well, I don't really want to throw that under the bus right now, because I'm looking at trying to get that money refunded and do it, But we can talk about some of my, my ideas coming up in a minute. But I just wanted to let everybody know that that I'm just concerned about businesses who don't normally qualify for any of this aid that was put out, right? I'm one of those, right? I'm a small business.
That's right.
I'm 5'7". I don't know how much smaller of a business I could be. I'm a performing artist, and that's how I provide for my family.
Business,
It's my business. It's something.
And you haven't worked, right?
No, matter of fact, I had finally made it to every other weekend. I was going to play the biggest rooms in comedy in different cities. I'd finally made it as a comedian. And we were so excited for this year. This was going to be our big year, big breakout year for that. And
it still can happen.
You know what? I'm not a quitter, as you know.
Right.
And I'm going to get back on that.
It's another roadblock they throw in front of you.
Yes.
In front of us. Yeah.
I'll get on that horse when I'm able to get back on that horse, and I'll fight for it again. Yeah. But I had to cancel all my gigs, and I had to, I'm out. I'm out of business. Can't travel. Right. Nobody's going to want to put 150, 200 people in a comedy club now on top of each other, right? That's just not going to happen.
Right now,
and we don't know when that's going to happen. Yeah. So
and look at that. We're talking about your business, about self-employed, but yet, and then you're county commissioner, and yet you don't have to do that, right? But you love the fact that you're trying to help people as a commissioner. So and that's not like a full-time job, because it is a full-time job.
Full-time
but
job.
It's not But my point is to you is that, you know what? You really go out of your way to try to help people.
It's more than a full-time job, JC. Yeah. I don't know where the rumors come that I'm not. My staff mark down every phone call we get. We can log it. We know the number that it came from, when we return the phone call. Same thing with emails. We are so meticulous because of who I am. The news media can't wait to put a story out that I'm not doing my job, that I'm not showing.
And it hasn't come out.
No, because they don't have because it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And,
like rumor they say, he didn't come to a meeting, he'll come to meetings.
This is the thing. I have my staff there. If I can't, but there's always someone there. We're always listening to the community. We're always doing our job. People who have reached out to the commission office and have done that and asked me for help. I'd like for them, to call in and say, hey, he went, he fixed this, he fixed that, he's done this, he's done that. We have a high percentage of success rate with my staff. I've had a great staff from the get-go, and I still have a great staff. And our number one priority is the work of District 2. We've done a lot of cool things in the South Valley.
Tell me, some really great. Because I'm not from there. What have you done?
So look, Los Padillas neighborhood, the Los Padillas neighborhood. When I ran for office, they said, "Hey, we know you're running for commissioner. Can we meet with you?" And I said, "Sure." So I went to that neighborhood, and it was in a home. And they had all the people from the Los Padillas neighborhood in this man's home. And they said, we've asked every commissioner so far to do this, and they haven't. We don't think you're going to be able to do this, but we want to show you our water. And I go, oh, all right. So I go to the sink. They turned on the sink, and this brown stuff came out, JC. And I go, no, that's not your water.
Really?
And they go, yeah, we have well water here, and some of us, we can only afford to go so deep, And so this is the water we have to live with. We can't buy white clothes. We go through washer machines like crazy because of the water. And I, and my campaign manager at the time says, whatever you do, you don't make no promises to anybody. And I looked at these people in their eyes and I said, my campaign manager told me not to make any promises, but I'm going to make you a promise that I'm going to be back, and if I'm elected, I'll be back and I'll fix this. 7 months later, I showed up with all the equipment and everything and told them, where do we start? And 3 weeks ago, we completely finished putting water in Los Padillas neighborhood.
I see. Things like that we don't know about, but gradually,
things that people don't really care about, right? Because, the needs of the South Valley are huge. I just bought the Anderson Farm, the largest open space
purchase. The county just bought that?
Really? The largest open space purchase in the history of Bernalillo County. I had to convince the other commissioners to give me their open space money for the next 3 years, and that's not an easy task.
And what are we going to do with that property?
Well, it's going to continue to be agricultural. So Mr. Roberts, who owns it, right? So what people didn't realize is this land was owned by 4 family members from the Anderson family. So Mr. Roberts is part of that family. He grows the alfalfa. So he grows basically the alfalfa for all the animals up and down the Rio Grande Valley there, because it's such a big farm.
Huge. Yeah, it is.
And
they also have grapes there, I understand.
No, it's just alfalfa.
That's the big, okay.
Yeah, the alfalfa. The one right on the other side of Las Estancias, where the movie theater and everything is in the South Valley.
That farm. I'm thinking of North Valley. No, you're talking about
South Valley Anderson Farms.
Under the meats fine. The bread was on top of the meats. Family,
I think
right?
so. Yeah, I think so. I remember that. Yeah. And so the problem was that they were selling it to a developer, JC, and this developer was gonna, and because the family wanted their money. And I don't have no control over who and what they sell to. And this developer was going to put 500 to $1 million homes on an acre because it's beautiful. It's next to everything. It's right next to that whole new development with Hobby Lobby and movie theater and restaurants. And perfect place for somebody with a big, beautiful home to live in the beautiful South Valley. And I wasn't going to have it.
So what's the county going to do with that property?
So I wasn't going to have it. It belongs to you now. It belongs to me now.
What are we going to do with it?
We're going to let Mr. Roberts continue to grow alfalfa. I lost a section of it, though. A section I had to give up to developer because the developer bought it. He had the contract. He was going to buy it. I convinced him to give me 3 years to do this deal. It took us 3 years to do the deal. He's going to develop a piece of it. But I saved 170 acres forever.
Wow.
And it'll never be gone from here on out. When they try to rezone agricultural land in the South Valley, I vote no on it the other commissioners vote yes on it. They outvote me, and they allow it to be changed
because they're not from there.
Because they're not from there. But yet nobody's paying attention to what I'm doing, right? So they're saying, "Oh, he's selling out. He's a sellout." And I'm like, and obviously they're just not paying attention to what is really going on at county commission meetings, because that's not the truth. I have a huge game plan that I'm going to do in my next 4 years, and it's a big economic development game plan that has to do with agriculture and agriculture jobs. I'm working with First Choice. We're going to build a food hub, and this is where so if you have an acre of land and you want to grow, and you're retired, right, and you have nothing to do, and you think, I'm going to grow, I don't know,
marijuana.
Well, don't grow that, because that's not. Yeah, you can't do that yet.
That's not legal.
Yeah, you can't do that yet.
Maybe,
but if you're going to do cucumbers or whatever, right? Whatever you're going to grow. Well, now you could take it to this food hub, and then they could process it. Because now what they have, the only outlet they have is a farmer's market, which I still love farmers markets, and I want to always support farmers markets. But it's not a viable kind of way to make a living and creating of jobs, right? And so there's an organization called Grow the Growers, and they've already organized throughout the South Valley, and they have this network of farmers who grow foods. But the problem is, that's about where they go, right? And they go to a farmer's market, and if they don't sell it, it goes bad or whatever. So now I'm going to work with First Choice, and we're going to build this thing, and then you can go and you can have it processed. So there you could process it, they could refrigerate it, they could freeze it, and then that food, what we're going to do is we're going to sell it to APS, to charter schools, to hospitals. And so now we're feeding our community, right? So now we're really putting what the South Valley should be doing is agricultural economic development plan together, and we're also feeding healthy food to our community. So that's going to be my next 4 years, and I already got money going to that.
So what made you want to do that? I mean, that's pretty thinking out of the box. I mean, how long has the Valley been there?
It's not, I think they've all really wanted to do that. We just couldn't figure out how to do it, right? I think that was always their game plan. I'm not going to take credit for that. I'm going to take credit for that. I want to champion, and I want to get it done. I want to be the guy that say, hey, thank you for hanging in there, continuing to keep growing your food, and giving me this opportunity, and First Choice this opportunity to do something right, do something great. Right. Me and you come from, the side of the river where there is no jobs, where there is no economic development. I want to talk to you about your business, right? Because you're in a success story out of on the bottom of Pat Hurley, just like me, I guess. And I don't consider myself a success story,
but you are. But we all worked hard to get to where we are. Nothing was given to us.
No, I'm appreciative of what I've been able to achieve. But I'm not any better than anybody else. But you started a business, you worked really hard, and you grew it, and you should have been, you should have your shop right there on West Central. I think that's where you should be. I mean, that was the community you grew up. I think that, you should have provided those jobs for that side of the river. And I want to talk to you why that didn't happen. And because I know it's not your fault. And let's talk about why West Central.
Well, I was there, right?
I know
I was there on Central and Central Yucca. I started my company in 1981, Minuteman Refinishing, right?
Yeah, but when you grew,
I went to the west side because I lived in the west side. Oh, there's a building for rent. Okay, man, let's rent this building. So I rented it for a few months, and I bought it. We bought it. I bought it.
Yeah.
So, but what I noticed, I was there 10 years on the west side. Loved it. I'm a west sider, right? So it was good, man. Driving, coming up, it was good. But in business, when you start thinking, I was not getting any business from the heights. Yeah. People were not crossing the river. I didn't get any walking business from the west of the river. At all. And that has a lot to do. I mean, you need not just the repeat business from on the phone. The walking business I got was from the West Siders, but only so many people want to refinish their furniture on the West Side. They could do it themselves, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons. And then they didn't, where I was at, it started getting run down. Yeah. I mean, back in the day, I remember the transients that started coming, and they're sleeping on the streets, and man, it was hard, and I hated to leave the West Side, dude. I mean, I did not want to leave the West Side.
I know.
Excuse me. But as I grew, well, I ended up going to the North Valley, and the North Valley on Fourth Worth. I was getting the walk-in business. So, but as we grew, now my son Jeremy owns the company. He's growing it. Now we're cabinet manufacturers, granite installers. I mean, we do quite a bit of complete kitchen designs. Yeah. We still try to move. Can we want to? We're outgrowing where we're at. So we started looking on the west side, on Volcano.
I know.
And we started looking at all these business. And what we found out, the big boxes that, we needed 15,000, 20,000 square feet buildings, right?
Yeah.
They were owned by people from out of state, California.
They didn't even want you there.
They didn't want us there. Oh, yeah, you can, but it's going to be triple net. You got to pay $10,000 for the building, and you got to pay another $4,000 for the insurance, and another $3,000 for the utilities. I go,
what?
Whoa, do you want to be my partner? I'm not going to do all this. They kept me out of there. They kept, and I'm sure it's not just me.
No,
I'm sure
it's
there's
historically,
a lot.
Historically, we've been redlined for development and jobs, right? And people complain about river crossing and everybody from our side of town having to go to work on the other side of town. And they said, build bridges. I said, you know what we need to do? We need to build jobs. Because if we live on this side and we work on this side, that's how you deal with the traffic problem.
Bridges or tunnels. Let's get a tunnel under the river. What the heck? I don't know what that's going to cost, but
that's still, you're still going to have the same problem until you create jobs on the west side.
Right.
So West Central is a good opportunity.
Speaking about jobs on the west side,
Amazon. I know.
I mean, that's so now
the county did that. Just by the way, the county did that. I've been pushing for that. I've been trying to get jobs. I go to a lot of forums and economic forums and crime forums and all these forums, man. And I'm always constantly learning. I don't take for granted that I can't continually keep continually learning. But when you go to talk about crime and you sit there and they're all talking about crime, talking about punishment, they're talking about they need to keep them in longer and you can't be lenient and the court systems are all this and that, which is okay. It's fine. That's fine, right? That's fine. Okay, I'm hearing you, right? But look, I grew up in the barrio. I grew up on the port side of town, on a poor neighborhood, and I had a lot of friends, and they had brothers and sisters, and we come from a block where there was crime and whatnot and criminals and whatnot, right? And I'm telling them, if how you fight crime, you want to really put a dent in crime in Albuquerque,
prevent it.
Give people an opportunity, JC. Give them a job to change their life. Yeah. Most people really do want to work, man. But if you don't, if the jobs aren't there, and if you put all these obstacles in the way of people getting a job, well, then they don't, and then they don't work, and then they find other ways. I go, do you think people crawl in a corner and die? No. They don't. No. They find a way to survive, JC. Our number one instincts as human is survival. Yeah. And I want to be able to, and so I learned this really good through my gang intervention programs. That these young kids, they wanted an opportunity. They didn't want to be gangbanged. That wasn't the dream.
I don't know if you remember this, about 3 years ago, when they stole my truck. I don't remember this. Okay, they stole my truck out of my garage. Okay, my fault. My negligence. Where I live is I never had any problems, and leave my garage door open. I was sick that morning. I left my keys in the ignition. They walked in my house. They walked in my garage. I'm thinking they're gonna get my golf clubs, right? But they saw my keys in my truck, and they took my truck, right? They found my truck like a week later in Las Lunas, stripped. Totally didn't recognize my truck. I felt bad for the thieves, bro. I'm like, really?
That's how desperate.
This is how, instead of taking the truck, go enjoy it, go on vacation, go do it. No, I feel so bad for them.
It was for money.
Yeah, and I'm thinking for the drugs, right?
Could be for drugs, and not everything's about drugs.
This one was drug. They found the needles in the truck. Okay. Right. But I still felt bad for them anyway because they got caught in that drug. So instead of arresting them, and if they did, they put them in jail and they'll let them back out, right? There was no rehab. So things are changing now. I'm starting to see things are changing.
So we at Bernalillo County now, right? So when you get out of MDC, now you go to a place where, we can offer you and sit you down with counseling, try to guide you, see if we can get you some housing, we can get you on food stamps, we can get you some assistance, give you an opportunity to change your life. Now me and you know that a drug addict isn't going to change his life till he's ready. But if we don't offer that, then that he'll never be able to get ready. It has to be there, even though he doesn't take advantage of it, or even though some people don't fully take advantage of it. Eventually they do. Eventually people kind of snap, I think, But you have to have that there. I think the biggest problem with what we have going, though, and what I really like to change to, at our facility, our transfer facility is, when you get out of jail, you don't have an ID, you don't have a license, and you can't apply for any of that stuff without a license. So I think we need, and I'm not saying giving them a driver's license, but giving them an ID, a New Mexico State ID, so then we could start the paperwork, so we can apply for housing, we can apply, see what they apply for and whatever, right? Behavioral health is something that's huge. For me, I really worked on it when I sat on the Albuquerque Public School Board of Education. And that is looking at school-based health centers. So school-based health centers is where, you could provide behavioral health, physical help for children and the community. So when you have a school-based health center in your school and you live by the school, even as an adult, there's a separate entrance. You can go in and you can be checked and because this comes from the community school model. And when I was on the school board, people say, no, the new thing is community schools. And I'm like, it used to be community schools. That's not a new thing. That's an old thing that we've lost our way, that we, because the whole community used to revolve around the school. And somehow as we grew, forgot that. We're coming back to that. And I just was able to pass putting $800,000 reoccurring into school-based health centers. And so I know it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but what it does is, JC, is we're able to go to the school, get it open, get it established, and then a provider comes in, right? A healthcare provider comes in, and they occupy that space, and so they're able to bill people who have Medicaid, Medicare, right, whatever health insurance they may have, and then that's what pays for it. So it's not an expense that we have. Are
we talking about kids or adults?
Kids. Yeah, a lot of behavioral health issues that we've never been. We were never diagnosed with that. We never talked that we had behavioral health. We grew up to say, "Hey, rub dirt on it."
But you know what? Another thing too is that we had the faja.
Yeah.
If you did something, your dad or my dad, my mommy, we had the faja back in the day. I mean, people don't know faja. We used to get belted, not abused, but I remember, it's like, and nowadays a lot of you can't touch them.
Well, and that's the thing is that kids are dealing with stuff, and I get it, and so we want to be able to provide that. Services, we didn't have those, and it's got to be bigger. Health insurance got to be bigger than us just walking around carrying a card, JC. You got, you got to use it, and we don't use it. We're bad at it. We come from an era that unless we're super sick, we can't. Then we finally go, and then they're going, "What took you so long?" And we're like, "Oh well, I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be a wimp, or And we got to change that, for our communities, because other communities know better, and from where we grew up, they don't know. They don't know that that's something that you can do.
Do you feel there's a lot of people that still don't have insurance in the South Valley, in the Valley,
one of the biggest workforces I have is my immigrant community. I know that that's a controversial, subject, and I get it, but I'm the one that put out the immigrant-friendly resolution. I'm the one that took the bite for that, man, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm trying to protect good people. I'm trying to protect the good people, the good kids, the good families,
that are here,
that
working,
are here to do the right thing, And there's some criminals that
everywhere.
But that's it. I mean, you understand that, right? We know that's every race, that's every wherever you're from. Italy, Greece, the Netherlands. There's criminals from the Netherlands too, by the way. There is, and so and look, that wasn't a free pass to come here and be a criminal. Right. So if you're a criminal, if you're dealing drugs, or you're a violent criminal and you're doing stuff in our community, I want to catch you. I want to get you out. I want to prosecute you or send you back. Whatever we have to do. Yeah. But I want to protect good people who actually pay into the system. And they're like, well, they don't pay taxes. I go, well, let me tell you something. Most of the money that we fund through Bernalillo County is done through property taxes
and gross receipts,
and then the next is gross receipts tax. So I want to know. I want to, because if that's the case, JC, when they come to collect my property taxes, and then when I go to the store, I'm gonna say, oh no, I'm an immigrant. I don't pay that. I don't have to pay that. So that's just something that I think politicians put out there to stir up the pot, but they do. They pay in the taxes, and so I've got to figure out how do I take care of them. and make sure that, that those kids are, and for me, it's about those kids, man. Matter of fact, after this, I got to run because I have a meeting with, at 5:30 with, El Centro, which is the big organization group to deal with immigrants, because we need to look at what they're dealing with right now during this pandemic. And, I have a lot of confidence that we're going to start climbing our way forward into getting back into.
I can see it already.
I can already see it, and I see, and if people do it safely and do it right, there's no reason for people go, why are you wearing a mask? I go, I have friends. I have my mom. I'm not worried about my health. I'm worried about everybody. I care about everybody around me, my wife, my kids, my mom, and and my extended people that are my friends and their family and their kids, and some of them have kids who've had surgeries and who are sick, and that would be the worst. I'd hate to be responsible for something like that when all it takes me to put is this little thing over my face.
And you don't know who people that you've been around with, who they've been around with. That's the problem, right? Yeah. So, but we're going to have to get there, right? And we're going to have to do it safely, and we're going to have to get people back to work. I find it funny, and my wife says don't get controversial on this show, but I find it funny that it's funny how the immigration conversation kind of just went to a halt, right? Huh? Well, you know why? Because they're the workforce out there that are working at picking the food and making sure that we got food and making sure that, the things are clean, and that, all of a sudden everybody's like, okay, maybe we can't get rid of the immigrant workforce, right now. Let them save us first, and then we'll boot them back out. Okay, I don't want to get people mad. I'm with you.
I don't want to get people mad.
Or you're going to get somebody mad no matter what. That's
I know. That's unfortunately the position that I'm in, right? I'm going to get somebody mad at me no matter what.
Yeah.
I just try to do my best.
Going with that, getting mad. Yeah. How do you deal with it when because you got a good heart, you're soft heart. How do you deal with the negativity when it comes to as much, because you know where you're at? How do you deal with that?
It's hard, bro. All I've ever wanted to do in my lifetime is help people, make people laugh, make sure that raise money for people so we could take care of our people. Yeah. That's all I've ever been. I've never been anything other than that. I don't.
And when you hear the criticism, like, they don't even know me,
I know, and they don't, and that's the hard part, JC. That some people don't care that they don't know you. Yeah. They want to. They say, oh, he's arrogant, or he's this, or he's that, and I'm like, well, sometimes I'm arguing my point, but that doesn't make me arrogant. No. I'm just trying to make my point across,
do you feel that because you became a actor, became a star, you say, for Breaking Bad, and now you ran for office and you think that has a lot to do with it too, because they think, you're just an actor.
Well, that's what they thought, Yeah, we heard a lot of that, and I'm like, well, where were you for my whole, 40 some odd years before I even, I sat for charter schools. I've been fighting for school choice for a long time. My kids went to a charter school, so I got involved in that. And then because of my work through that, the community says, we need you to sit on the school board. And I didn't want to run for nothing. My brother Richard was the politician, It wasn't Steven. Steven's the actor, comedian, man. But, I thought of my brother. And my brother would have left a really great, left a great legacy. Yeah. And I just wanted to do that for him.
Yeah. People that don't know Rick, he could have been
the president. Easily. I wrote a play called The First Chicano President, as you remember.
Oh, I know for sure because growing up, Hispanics weren't president, right? But I know he would have been the U.S. senator.
Oh, easily.
He could have done whatever he wanted to do. And at that time, like the president, because he was very good, very smart, very intelligent. Mm-hmm. And then you're the politician, like you said.
He was. He was the politician. He was he was more of the public speaker.
So when you wrote that play, The Chicano President, you had him in mind?
I did. It was based on, if my brother is going to be the first Chicano president of the United States. And I made it a comedy so we could laugh at it, and it was a popular play for a long time.
Did I hear they named it the Brown House?
I said we're going to paint we're going to stucco the White House. Stucco Adobe Brown. And it was a fun play, and I got to work with some really great people and actors, and we made a satire out of it. But people loved it. They loved that play because it touched them. It was very It was very Chicano.
I remember
it was very down the block kind of stuff, and we loved it. And
you also remember doing a show, also the Joker. Was it Joker?
Yeah, I did Joker, which was a gang intervention.
That was a nice play. I remember that one for sure.
That was through my gang intervention program. So that was that. Yeah, we sold that out a lot.
I remember.
And that's how people don't know that's a part of the bigger part of me is really there's two halves to me. It's weird. I have two halves to me: the entertainer and the community guy, man.
And you entertain to help the community. I mean,
and that's what I used it for. I still use it for that. I do. I still do a lot. I still help people raise money. I still show up, and I'll still host things, and we'll still raise money. And I can't stop doing that.
Well, to me, I've known you for many, many years, and a lot of people don't really say, "Oh, he's what," and I go, "Dude," you haven't changed. Honestly, I've known you forever, and I could say, well, Steven's changed. He thinks he's this. Never had ever come to me where you're like, Steven, you've always been down to earth.
I don't know how
where
to
you
change.
Came from.
I don't know how to change, bro. I don't.
And it bothers me when people are telling me, I go, no, you don't know him. I go, tell you don't, especially when but it's the politics talking. See, that's what I understand. I go,
people will do whatever they need to do to further their agenda, and I'm not against them for it. I'm gonna be honest with you,
right? They have the right to have their opinion.
That's the process, and and they get to pick a side, and they get to fight for it, and I'm good with it. I've picked sides before when I was fighting for gang kids. I picked that side, and I fought no matter what. Everybody tell me, "Oh, we got to put them in prison and this and that," and I was against them for that, and because there wasn't, to me, I didn't see no negotiation, no compromise, But then once you're elected, that next morning when you wake up, you think, I've got to represent everybody, the people who voted for me, the people who didn't vote for me, the people in my party, the people not in my party, the people who are citizens, people who are not citizens. You
represent everyone.
The business community, the non-business community. My wife wrote this letter. I don't know if you saw. I'm quoting all that from my wife because she wrote this letter that they sent out as a mailer for my campaign. And my wife says, my husband, he represents everybody. He tries to find a way to compromise and to bring people together, both sides. And it's not just talk. It's not just a speech. It's not, I don't go up in front of people and saying, I want to reach across the aisle and this and that and that and this and that. And then when you do, they bite your head off for it because they didn't really mean that.
Right.
I mean it. Yeah. And I will, you could bite my head off if you want. I guess that's just what I have. Sometimes when you do the right thing, you find yourself standing alone, JC.
Yeah. I guess,
and you know what?
It is what it is.
It is what it is, man.
And you know who you are.
And you know what? And you should be able to go to bed at night knowing that you did your best. Am I perfect, JC? Not even close, bro. Right. I'm not, and I know that I'm not, and I'm trying to.
Yeah, well, that
trying
little,
to be better.
Piece of hair's a little off a little bit. So you're not.
I haven't. I have to shave my own self now. I'm kidding. I always shave my own self. I even cut my own hair. People go,
no, really?
Yeah, and people go, hey, your hair? Did you go? You went to your barber? I go, no, I didn't go to my barber. I cut my own hair.
Good.
I'm even doing the hair at my house. Because we can't. We're trying to adhere what the governor wants us to do, so we can get out and we can get back to business. Nobody wants to get back to business more than me. I want to open my comedy business back up, man. I want to be able to, provide for my family, man. I want to be able to provide for my children. I have grandchildren.
Speaking of that, why doesn't Albuquerque anywhere have a comedy club? Why aren't those ever successful?
Let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you a story, JC. Me and my wife were about to open a comedy club when this hit.
No.
Yeah, where Uptown Funk is, right?
Yep.
Well, I shot a comedy show there.
Yep, up there. I remember seeing it. It was good. It was good.
It was good.
Yeah, I remember you text me, hey, you can't film.
That's right. Take it off. I'm trying to sell it. Matter of fact, we're in negotiations right now. That might happen. And my wife goes, don't say nothing. She's mad at me now. She's texting me now. But it's too late. JC got it out of me. But
it's good.
But we're about to, right there at where Uptown Funk was because, he moved his place to Revel.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, up there on Renaissance.
Yeah, I know that exactly.
So that's where the piano bar is now. And so him and the guy who either runs the building, owns the building, I'm not quite sure. And they're saying, if anyone should be opening a comedy club, it should be you.
Yeah, I agree.
I have all these connections of all these comedians. I know all these great comedians.
Because I thought of you the other day. You know, my son's opening up an indoor playground called Jungle Jam, right? It's up there on Coors and Paseo.
We're going to take the grandkids once that's open. We can't wait.
I know. Wait for the governor to say, open it up.
I know. We're going. We're going to go with our mask.
Well,
hey, let's go.
Well, there's that Sidelines bar that was there. It's closed.
Oh,
I'm like, man, that'd be a heck of a comedy club.
Yeah.
I wonder if Steve, I'm telling you.
That might not be a bad
And it's
spot
right
either.
there in that nice shopping center. And, you know, I know there's a movie theater next door. I don't know if they're staying open or not. Yeah. But it would be, it needs, I think.
Look, there's no city in the whole United States the size of Albuquerque that doesn't have at least 2 or 3 comedy clubs.
Yeah. So why did they fail? I know they've had them in the past.
Well, one guy just failed. He just ran him into the ground. And since then, I don't think anybody's really just taken it serious enough to. And it's hard. You have to have the connections to some names. You know, you need to start off with some names.
That's you.
And I do have some friends.
You could have a big grand opening with George Lopez if you wanted to. I know. I made it to you, man.
I probably could. I couldn't speak for him, but I would love to try to do that.
He came for your.
He came
to help you with the campain last time.
He did.
I know.
He did, man. And he believes, you know, he's my friend. Man.
I know, yeah.
And he knows the kind of human being that I am. And that's why he wanted to make sure he did that. And Dean Norris came back and did it for me. And Bob Odenkirk did it for me. And these people, they know me,
they're big time actors.
These are big, huge
you don't realize
stars.
how big they are, but they're big.
Yeah, they're big, huge stars. But they're just people. And they're looking at what I'm doing. They're paying attention to what I'm doing. Yeah. You know, the people who endorsed me, JC, they're watching what I'm doing. If I wasn't doing my job,
they won't be endorsing you. You're right.
No,
you're right.
They wouldn't because that's political suicide for them.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm gonna throw a name at you. It's Robert Chavez.
Yeah.
Are you?
We're good, man.
Are you guys good?
Yeah.
Because I know that he's running for the House seat, and he's backing you up. I know that he is.
Yeah.
And that's one guy that ran against you.
He ran against me.
But seeing he could have ran against you now, but he decided you're doing a good job, right?
The two people who ran against me for county commissioner last time, both endorsed me.
Yeah.
They wanted me to fail. Nobody wanted me to fail more than those 2 guys. I hate to say it, but they kind of did, right? Because they lost to me, man. They both endorsed me. They said, "Man, okay, all right."
Yeah. And now Robert's running again, and I support Robert Chavez.
I'm supporting Robert Chavez. I think that I just need more support, right, at that level, at that state level, with the funding. You know, I mean, commissioner is the guy who gets the job done. Some of the funding source comes from the state, and if you're not getting that. And I could tell you, I'm not getting that right now. And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, JC. I'm just not that kind of person. I'm just saying, I'm just hopeful that I can get some more of that money so I could do some more infrastructure things that the South Valley really, really needs, man. I'm going to redo Bridge Boulevard. Yeah. They're going to now. You think they hate me now, JC? Oh, they're going to hate me this year.
What are you going to bridge?
I'm going to redo all of Bridge. Well, Dolores Huerta Bridge Boulevard.
Right.
Yeah, it's everything. We're going to call it all
from the river to what?
The river all the way up to Coors.
No, wow, interesting.
It needs it. It's so bad, JC. There's no way you can even do any kind of economic development. No businesses.
Would it be done in 4 years? Within the 4 years that you're there?
I'm hoping. Yeah, but phase 1 will happen up top, you know, on Coors. So on the Southwest Mesa, it'll start there. Then phase 2 will be by the bridge. That's when they're really going to hate me because everybody coming out of the South Valley and then everybody coming down from the Southwest Mesa trying to get to work. They may have to go down Central since everybody's been avoiding Central since that failed art project. Okay, did I say that too?
Yeah, well, you know what? Just a statement on that. Even though the bus never have run right, whatever reason, what I liked about it cleaned up West Central, bro. It looks so nice.
We had already done all the whole.
I know, but
we did all the mediums. We had trees and landscaping, and they lasted 2 years, and they ripped it out, and they turned it into a freeway. JC,
but I love the way it looks. When I go see, that's where my shop was at. See, I wish that would have.
Since you
that would have been awesome.
Well, since you've been gone, it's really improved.
Yes, it is.
And so look,
I had to leave when it happened.
Look, my idea was, if you'd asked me, which you don't, because I don't work for the city. I'm a county guy. But art should have been from the airport all the way down University, past CNM, UNM, then down to Central Avenue. Every city that I go to, you know, their art buses and their art, you know, their art projects always are about mass transportation from ports of people coming in. JC, we never had problems taking the bus up and down Central. We grew up a block, 2 blocks from Central.
Yep.
And you could always get up and down Central.
As a kid.
And then think about the art project. You would have people from the airport getting on. You get kids who are living in these apartments.
The Lobos.
That need to get to CNM.
Go to the pit. Go to the...
To the UNM. Yep. And then you bring people from the airport downtown. And that's how you revitalize downtown. Yep. So Route 66 Visitor Center. That what I'm going to build up on 9 Mile Hill.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. That me and you, they call it sprawl. It's 9 miles from downtown Albuquerque.
It's called 9 Mile Hill.
That's right.
That's why it's called 9 Mile Hill.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're building that. The Journal wasn't a fan of it. They've been trying to, you know, beat it up. But I'll tell you something. People have been calling from all over the country. They're excited about it. They think what a brilliant idea. And that will also bring, I think, development down West Central. And it'll give us a better argument. I think it'll give Councilwoman Pena more arguments on being able to change some of the zoning and some of the rules and regulations. We call it redlining, you know, in that area. So, you know, I mean, because now we have Define Fitness, you know, Chris Baca's building, my old boss from Yes Housing. Now he's the head of that Yes Housing. Unser. And so we know that this would be a catalyst to start going down. You know, my job has always been the infill. My job is to bring jobs and opportunities from 98th Street down Central. That's been my plan from the get-go. It remains.
You have a lot on your plate then.
Remains my plan
for the next 4 years. Let's hope, you know. I want to debate you on something that we talked earlier about.
Okay.
You know, let people understand what this is about. Because we grew up in the same neighborhood.
Yep.
It would be Lopez Hurley Park.
That's
okay.
Right.
I consider it the West Side. I'm a West Sider. Okay? All my life. Okay. You run an office. You grew up there. You say you came from the South Valley. Explain to me how that is part of the South Valley. Because it is.
Because we're on just 2 blocks on the other side of Central, and we were northwest,
right?
And because our address was northwest, you know me, and look, hey, I went to West Mesa, right? I spent most of my time on the west side. I didn't spend a lot of it on the South Valley.
Timmy,
my friends were, you know, West Siders, you know. They grew up on the top. I grew up on the bottom. But my argument with you, and we were debating, I go, JC, that's not the North Valley, though.
Well, no, it's true. It wasn't the North Valley.
And it's not really on top of the hill. No. So the top of the hill is when you consider it West Side.
Right.
We were on the bottom. We were orphans. Let's just face it. We were nobodies. We didn't have no place to go. We had to find a place to go.
Because I do remember going to Alamosa Elementary School during my first 4 years, and then they moved because we were in Northwest. They moved us to Lavaland.
Yeah.
Do you have a charger?
I went to Lavaland.
Yeah.
I went to Lavaland, John Adams, and West Mesa.
See, I was Alamosa before because but we were. That was in the Southwest, right?
That's South Valley.
South Valley, right?
That's right.
So till they moved the district to that side of Central.
Well, all my friends that lived in the South Valley went to West Mesa too. I have my friend Melcher and all those guys. Right. Yeah, they lived
5 Points.
Yeah, they lived up to 5 Points. They lived in that area by Holy Family. They lived in that area right there. And they went to West Mesa. So we didn't.